Hey guys, it's Ben. It has been quite a while since I have uploaded a video, and as you may be able to tell, this comic page that I'm working on right now is not Stupid Girl. It has nothing to do with that at all. I am going to continue that because I think that's a great idea. I love the character. I love the script. I just had other things going on, and this is actually going to be page 3 of a choose your own adventure called Longsword. And it's already written out. There is one small fork that the writer still needs to flesh out. But as you can see down in the bottom right corner, fight or surrender. So that's going to be kind of a text graphic that the letterer is going to put on there for me. And that's the page where, or this is the page rather, where you're going to actually be able to make a decision. Now, unlike a lot of choose your own adventure in quotes that I see connected to a Patreon, for example, they'll put up a poll and let their patrons vote on which direction the story goes. And I think that's cool. It's a reader directed story, but it's still linear. And that's what I am really trying hard to avoid. What I want to do, and my plan is, which is the reason I had the story written this way, is for it to be a true choose your own adventure. So for example, this is page 3, fight or surrender. Page 4A is going to be fight. Page 4B is going to be surrender. Now, eventually, these two choices are going to end up at the same place because I don't have time to make like a 200-page choose your own adventure. So it's more of like a circular type of setup where a lot of the actions that you take will end up in the same place. It's just a matter of seeing it get there in a different way, which is still really great for rereadability. So I'm really excited about it. I don't know how many pages it's going to end up being. I forget, or I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't want to do the math. So yeah, that's going to be super awesome. I can't wait to get further into it. As you can see, this character right here, the guy is Longsword. I don't know how long his sword is. I just think it's a fun name. And he's walking through a forest and he's confronted by these elves, I guess. Well, they're going to be elves. I don't have character designs yet for them, but I have an idea of what they're going to look like. And I'm probably, to be honest, I'm probably going to get those little 3D mannequins out and I'm going to pose them because I struggled to even get these poses down and I don't particularly love them. So I think I'll experiment in Maya and play with my little mannequins and get some camera angles. And once I get a good screenshot of the 3 females, this third one is a female. It looks more bulky. But yeah, as soon as I get those all done, I get a screenshot, I'll use those as reference. So I think I'm going to do that. Other than that, I think everything else looks pretty good, just having drawn it regularly. Anyway, so that's a setup for this page. There's a lot of foliage, and I'm not really looking forward to doing it all. I'm not sure how it's going to integrate into the page. I do trees fairly often, like just random, like outside of a building window or something like that. But to do an actual forest, I know there's going to be a lot of silhouette because, well, it's going to look a lot better. I'm trying to incorporate it here and here. And also there's going to be a lot of, I don't know. I don't want to make it all detailed like this, like all of these. These are detailed because they're in the front, they're in the foreground, but a lot of things in the background are going to be more like outlines, more shapes, maybe done more with color. Like, it would just be too messy if the entire background was just full of ink lines and high detail. Like, that just would not look good. And it'd be a lot of work for it to not look good. So what I'm doing here is, and also, by the way, I'll stop and say, this is Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint I've been using for about maybe 3 months, 2 or 3 months, probably 3, and I freaking love it. It is so good. I'd been using Photoshop for basically all of my life, and I'm sure a ton of other people out there are still using Photoshop, but I'm telling you guys, if you give this a chance, if you give this a try, and I'm not going to do a tutorial on it, but as I am working, I'll maybe explain something here or there. It works very similarly to Photoshop for comic book style artwork, but there are some differences. They're subtle, but they make a huge difference. They make the whole process so much more enjoyable. I can't begin to explain. If I had to do this in Photoshop, I'd kind of be depressed. I would not be in a good mood. Clip Studio Paint rocks. And the reason I'm using it is because I had recently, maybe four months ago or so, I'd gotten an iPad mini. And I wanted to use Photoshop. I got the Photoshop free trial, and it just gave me so many problems. It's not a direct port, first of all. And if it had been, I'd probably still be using Photoshop, not even having given this a try. Thankfully, Photoshop on the iPad sucks. It gave me a lot of problems, which some of them have been fixed by now, but there's no going back. I'm not giving them any more money. It's $9.99 a month on the iPad versus this, which is $25 for a year. And again, it works so much better. It is such a joy to use this program versus Photoshop. So hopefully over time, over watching videos, and you're not going to see me using Photoshop unless I'm doing splatters because I still haven't figured out how to bring those brushes in here. But other than that, yes, everything will be done using Clip Studio. And anyway, I love it. So here we go. We're going to get into it now. To do this, I am cheating, if you want to put that in quotes. I am taking some photographs. These are just, with these things, I don't know, Alamy, whatever, 123R, I don't know, whatever. Just grab these from a Google search. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to select all, copy, and I think I just pasted it onto itself. And I will go over here and let's see. I will put I'll just bring it down here to the bottom. I'll paste it in here. This is the move tool. And let's see. So we're going to do Control T, just like Photoshop. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to make it the right size because I had some issues with not realizing I had to do that. Hit OK. Let's see, move it back a little bit as well here. That might work out fairly well. I'm not sure if I like the perspective, but I guess it could work, right? So these ones here are in the foreground, and they're meant to be like that, but a lot of this other stuff is just going to be indications, silhouettes, things of that nature. So I'll go ahead and zoom in. You can see up here at 66. Now it is 100. And I'll just go in here and go to my... All right, so you can see that's that foreground one. I haven't colored that one yet. So I'll do background foliage ink. Here is the pen. I have this as a G pen. You can see on over here the subtools. So subtools would be G pen, real G pen, mapping pen, whatever, markers, felt pen, dot pen, flat, whatever. You can add other ones. Over here are your tool properties, so brush size. Here's a brush size. I don't use this on the computer. I just use the brackets, left and right brackets to, or is it the plus or minus? No, it's the brackets. But on the iPad, I have this one open because there's no keyboard, so I just can easily just pick whatever size I want. Usually for inking, I'll do a 10 or a 12. And then there's other stuff, anti-aliasing. I have it as strong because I like it to be a smooth look. And anyway, so under Windows, you have tool, subtool, tool properties, brush size, subtool details, which would be like where you have your pressure sensitivity and whatever. It's very similar to Photoshop. I have these ones open. You can create your own. You can save your layout. Not a big deal. That's not what this video is about. Sorry if this is starting out as a bunch of talking and random stuff, but it is a brand new program that I've not used before, so I kind of wanted to introduce it, and it's also a new comic that I haven't done on a video before, so I also wanted to introduce that. All right, so I don't know how long this has been already, but hopefully we can get into the whole basics or the whole meat of the video. So again, I'm about 8. All right, so let's see. I'm just gonna go here. Okay, wrong color. Go down to my color wheel. So let's see. I'm gonna tamp down the opacity. Now, things like this, again, I don't want there to be like a ton of detail because there's already a lot of detail. And if there's too much detail, it's going to end up being really messy, really cluttered. And I definitely don't want that. So these are just going to be some indications of these little rocks that people have put down to make a path. I mean, there are elves. There is a knight, so there are people around here. So I think having a little path with stones that make it look like people actually exist in here is not a bad thing. Even the Lord of the Rings elves or they have their little houses and stuff like that. So people live here. They need a place to walk. They need to hunt for food. They need to do whatever they do. I don't know. I don't think about it that much. So a lot of this is going to just be like random kind of ink lines like I like to do. But I am trying to put a couple of things in here that can give me a place to start. Now these are leaves. These little ones here are leaves. Whether they're actually leaves or not doesn't really matter. And so I don't know if this is like a legitimate technique for doing backgrounds, but in the end, I think if it looks good, it doesn't really matter how you get there. There are a lot of artists that use all kinds of tricks. They use 3D models, clearly, and hey, I use 3D models. Again, I don't think it really matters how you're going about doing it as long as it looks good and you basically do it yourself. Now, I didn't take this picture and I didn't create the car models for the city scene or the buildings for the city scene on that stupid girl page. I didn't create those myself, but I still consider this to be my work. I'm not plagiarizing anybody else's artwork. I'm not, um, I'm not tracing someone else's artwork. So I don't know. I don't know what the actual like law says or what the court of public opinion says about tracing something like this, but in my opinion, I just feel like, hey, if it looks good and you're basically doing it yourself, yeah, you can take shortcuts. I'd hate for someone to feel like, oh, I just have to be super, super good. Like I have to be able to do everything like with my imagination. People don't do that. It's like it's very similar to someone who might go out and paint, traditionally paint some animals that they see at a zoo or on a safari or just at some kind of a nature preserve. They're not painting that from their memory or from their imagination. They're painting it from what they see. And I'm painting this or I'm drawing this rather from what I see. So, all right. So let's see here. These are just going to be some random lines to kind of, again, show that these are, well, not again, I didn't say it the first time, but these are just to show that, I don't know, I just have like my little style of doing this, and I want to keep it looking like my style too. So that's something that's really important is even if you're using a 3D model or a photograph or something like that, and even if you are tracing it, you still want to make sure it's your style. It integrates into the things that you do from your imagination. Like Longsword himself is just from my imagination. I didn't iterate a bunch of different like designs for him. I kind of had an idea of it being a knight, and I referenced a little bit of Battle Chasers, but mostly it's just a simple kind of design where he's got some armor, he's got some jeans, he's got some gloves. I don't know. Like it's not a big deal. It's not. He's not going to be some kind of iconic character that's going to be, written about for hundreds of years. Yeah. So I'm doing this, and I'm going to almost be done with this part for right now, just for the video purposes. Obviously, this kind of stuff takes a long time, and a lot of it is boring, and I'm sure nobody really wants to see. And if you do, you're a glutton for punishment. And don't worry, I will come back and basically continue on, but I want to show you the way this process works. My coloring is different. I'm always trying to improve my coloring. I think that's really important to always improve, always be looking for different ways of doing things to make things faster, better, easier. And so, yeah, all right. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this for right now. Let's see how it looks. Probably just looks, it looks okay, I guess. It looks okay. So I'm going to go down here to color. I've got my little swatches here. I'll go with a different green than I'd gone for before. I was going with like, I think this one or probably this one for most of the foreground. I'll go with this one. It's a little bit yellower. And I'm just going to start painting it in. And of course, I'm not going to be like super perfect in the lines. I mean, there's another color right next to it, so it doesn't really matter, but I still do give it my best shot to stay in the lines. And since this is a different version of green or a little bit of a different hue, I hope it doesn't grab it with the lasso tool or the magic wand. If it does, I'll need to figure out where the tolerance is, because I'm sure there's a tolerance here. Everything Clip Studio does, all their updates, everything they think about is for comic book and manga. Like every single thing they do is focused on on manga artists. It's not for, they're not trying to make this something for photo editors or retouchers or special effects for movies or anything of that nature. Everything they do is geared toward the comic book and manga artists. So, they put all of their resources, all of their brain power into making it the best that they can for an artist such as myself, and I hope everybody starts to, not everybody, I guess, but I hope more and more people can start to kind of open up their mind about this program. And to be honest, the main reason that I didn't go with it for such a long time, even though I'd kind of heard it a little bit in the periphery, like I didn't ever do I didn't really research it. I just kind of thought, clip studio, clip art. Like the name just sounds like clip art. And unfortunately, I think this used to be called Manga Studio, perhaps. I'm not sure if this is the one that was called that or not, but like that would be a way better name. I don't know why they changed it. Clip art is low quality garbage that you just find on the internet from like 1990. So when I see Clip Studio, I just don't like that name. I don't like that name. And that is the primary reason why I did not try this earlier. And again, if I didn't get the iPad and I never had the horrible iPad Photoshop experience that I did have, I never would have tried this either. So things had to line up, the stars had to align, so to speak. Now I could have randomly come across a tutorial on this program or seen a video or read a recommendation from an artist I admire, and I'd be like, well, if this person likes it, I might give it a shot, or I might kind of go down the rabbit hole of kind of opening up my eyes to the possibility that, well, maybe this is something worth giving a chance. So this here, I'm erasing a color layer. If I turn this off, you'll see that's the original color I was using, but I turned it on. So I'll zoom out. You can see it in panel 2 as well. So this is what it looked like. This is like the basic color, and this is what it is with some mood. And anyway, so let me go here and I will turn these off. So that's what it looks like. There's the color. I put that on right away because I want to have a mood in my mind when I start to color this. Then I add the multiply layer, and then I add a light, and then I add a more light, then I add a highlight, and then I add a bounce. So that's kind of the way this process works for me. Is it starts from there and it ends there. I think it's pretty cool. It works. And by the way, highlight is add glow, lighter is add glow, light is add. I mean, you can change these as you want. This is, of course, multiply. This is color. This color I usually actually call base or base color, and that's just a normal layer. So the light is coming over here from the right, which means I'm going to go back in here. This is the color I'm using. These light colors are my multiply. And I haven't put the color layer on here yet. So I guess that would be another thing to consider. I'm not even sure. I think it's this one is what I'm using. Close enough. So I don't even know why I erased it now. It's like, just leave it there, color the rest of it. And I don't know why I'm doing this. I should, if this weren't being recorded, I would just, I would do it in a different way. I would do more of the inks. I would do probably a little bit more of the up-close foliage that has all the detail in it. But anyway, I'm just trying to kind of show you to get into this, just to introduce this new project or this new page that I'm working on. And yeah, I don't know how often I'll have time to make these videos or how much, probably every day, or at least most days, at least most Mondays to Fridays, I can spend a half hour, 45 minutes or so. And if I'm not trying to like show you 100 things all in one video, it's just mostly going to be plodding along, just slowly moving it forward and making this come together. So, and sometimes, I mean, I'm not really, occasionally I might record on the iPad. I've done that before, but for all intents and purposes, probably not really. I do some work on the iPad, but I don't really want to record because it's not really easy for me to do that. So here I'm going, these dark ones are usually what I use for light. So this is my light yellow. If you can see down here, it's actually on the yellow spectrum, but it's really dark because it's on the ad. So I'll airbrush that in like this. And then I'll go in here, make sure I have the hard one on and do on the mask. That is another difference between Clip Studio and Photoshop, is that in Photoshop you're using a black paint on the mask. In Clip Studio you're using the eraser, but it works exactly the same. So as you can see, erasing out here. This is kind of how I'm doing my cut and fade style. My heroes for coloring, of course, are Liquid. And unfortunately, they're not together and they don't really do any comic book stuff very much anymore. They both have done, the two guys of Liquid, they've both done some stuff, but not really anymore. When I see or hear, oh, one of these guys colored something, I'm like, awesome, I'm going to check it out. But it's very, very infrequent these days. They've done some they've done some covers. Christian Lichtner or Lichtner, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. He did obviously Ultimates 3 most recently, which is what, 10 years old, more than that. And the other guy, Aaron Lucen, has done, I don't know, Captain Stoneheart, which was really cool, but he's mostly doing video game stuff like Joe Madureira. He also did a Vampirella cover and a Spider-Man and Wolverine cover with the Hulk. So they both do some stuff. And then here I'm going with this green. This is my green. At the end, I know I'm going to have to bring it all together. I know I'm going to have to tie it all in together, and there's going to be some like adjustment layers, or I'm going to have to go back in and kind of fix some things to make it all work. I might go in and actually change the color of some of the inks farther back from black to, like a gray or a dark green or something like that, so that they're not as pronounced. Because I definitely don't want there to be too much ink, especially in the background. So, and you don't have to worry when you're going into like in Photoshop, this would be white. And here it's just black or white. You're either painting it or you're painting it out. And if you want to do it softer, you can do a eraser with a airbrush, with a soft eraser, or you could do an airbrush, obviously. But so I'm here, I have a pen. It doesn't matter that I have a green. It's still going to be 100%. Well, okay, so that's not in the mask or the lasso. So anyway, that's kind of the process that I'm going through. That's how this is going to be worked out. And I'm just going to come in here and finish up this foreground. this foreground right here, this foliage, this is actually going to be the panel divider of panel 1 and panel 3. And then, yeah, just keep on putting in a bunch of crap in here, fill this one in. A lot of these trees are just going to be silhouettes, although I might put some a little bit of color on, like, I don't know, one of the sides, but mostly it's going to be silhouette. Maybe it's just going to be a couple of leaves here or there, a couple of tree branches here or there, and a bunch of color. I'm going to try not to make it very inky. And here, over here, like these darker areas, probably just going to be a lot of this black splotchy stuff. And, you know, try to kind of keep the background more or less simple. That's my goal. We'll see how it goes, but that's how I'm working on this background, because it is a lot to make him walk through a forest. Thankfully, the whole comic's not going to be based in the forest. That would drive me crazy and I'd get burned out. But for 1 or 2 panels, or even the next couple, but that's how I'm going to be doing it, at least for right now. Things might change. I might come up with a couple of shortcuts. I might be able to reuse some of these. And if you can tell that I've reused it, so be it. Whatever. It's saving me a lot of time, making the page come along quicker. So yeah, that's Longsword page 3, done in Clip Studio Paint. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for checking it out. Bye.